You only need to look at Tivataskloof Dam to realise how serious Cape Town's water crisis is. After 3 years of record drought, the city's biggest reservoir has become a desert. The dams supplying water to 4 million people are at critically low levels. This year, Cape Town's been on the verge of becoming the first major city to run out of water. But, incredibly, it's managed to more than halve the amount of water it uses. I wanted to find out how. To visitors, life in this stunning coastal city still seems pretty normal. But for those who call Cape Town home, things may never be the same.
Lola, Beth, can you set the table?
Severe water restrictions were introduced in February, and Ruth Hall's family of 4 now lives on a fraction of the water consumed by a single Australian.
Some people are saying that because the dams are so low, we're getting sediment and it's actually unhealthy to drink the water, but we don't believe it. We just carry on drinking the water, but, you know, we just ration everybody a couple of litres per person per day.
They're not allowed to use more than 50 litres a day. The average Australian consumes over 300. David Dunton says the most dramatic changes have been felt in the most private of spaces.
We do what most of the rest of Cape Town, I think, is doing, is the credo: when it's yellow, let it mellow, and when it's brown, flush it down. I've just come in and noticed that it is indeed brown, thanks to my daughter not flushing, which she often doesn't do, but she's meant to. So I will flush. And you can hear that the toilet isn't filling up. That's because we have this elaborate system down here of buckets of varying agedness of bath water that go into the loo. So I will fill it up. This is the one that's next off the rank. This is another part of our water saving strategies. We've taken off there's a U-bend down here. We unscrewed it, very simple, and then we just put a bucket under there. And every time you brush your teeth or wash your hands, it goes into there. And it's actually surprising how much water you use like that. And that fills up pretty quickly. Okay, we're going to the shower now.
Wow.
We've got another big system of buckets and watering cans and all sorts of things here. I can do you a quick visual demonstration. When I shower, I stand in here, comes down and into there, and again, that's used as water for our toilet. We try not to use any water once other than drinking water.
Do you know how much water you are actually consuming here?
Last month we checked and it was 41 litres per person per day. So we're underneath the 50. So
does that make you feel like you could take some longer showers and fill the bath up a bit higher?
No, I think we should try and make it less than 41 next month.
So what's been the hardest thing to get used to for each of you?
I find it a bit odd to be showering like 2 or 3 times a week. That is really odd. And so you feel a bit stinky.
I know what I found the hardest to get used to is a dying garden.
Many Australians are used to being told they can't water their lawn or wash their car, but we're yet to face the prospect of completely dry taps. David and his wife Ruth are doing all they can to avoid that happening. Everyone's water usage is publicly available, so if you're middle class and you don't do your bit, you not only risk a fine, but something worse.
We had a staff meeting recently, and my boss put up her water usage on the board, and then everybody had to write up their own family's water usage. It was like quite a sort of a shameful moment, like, oh my goodness, I'm using more water than you are. Yeah. So people are actually talking about, like, how much water are you using, and it's a source of pride, you know, like, I'm using less than you are.
Any particular examples of family or friends that you've been checking up on?
I seem to recall your sister, Ruth.
My sister was over 6,000 litres, but that's shameful. Yeah, it's very embarrassing. I was going to call her up, but I didn't. I think that what's happened over the last 12 months is that our attitude to water has changed irrevocably. We've actually learnt that getting water and being able to turn on a tap and the water is there, that's a privilege, you know. I don't think that we can always rely on the idea that government is going to give us water.
Cape Town is facing a major water crisis with predictions that taps will run dry in May 2018. And after that,
we start anticipating the very real possibility of a day zero scenario.
That's the date taps are due to run dry.
How did Cape Town get into this water crisis in the first place, and could this have all been averted?
Last year, Cape Town experienced the lowest rainfall since records began in 1933. The city's also thirstier than it used to be. The population has increased by a whopping 45% in a little over 20 years. Ironically, it won an award for water-saving measures designed to keep pace with its growing population. But government failed to significantly increase the water supply. And despite climate change ringing alarm bells everywhere, it was caught out when the drought struck. To top up their daily water allowance, some Cape Townians come to natural springs like this. If day zero ever happens, the water supply to households will be shut off, and lining up at water stations will be the only way to get water. The daily ration will be reduced to a meagre 25 litres.
There was no water the whole day yesterday, and then we find out that there's a place that we can come to fetch water.
So you didn't even have water out of your taps yesterday?
Yesterday, the whole day, we didn't have water in our taps.
Was that the first time that had happened?
No, it's not the first time. It's been happening for many times.
Drastically reduced mains water pressure has already left many households without water. It sounds like day zero has already happened at your house.
Day zero is already happening. We are not waiting for day zero. Day zero is already happening. We went a lot of places to look for water. We even went to the beach to fetch some water for the toilet.
Some salt water from the beach?
Salt water from the beach just to use for the toilet. So that was not nice. We're looking for water everywhere.
We here because we try not to use too much of the waters out of our taps. We obviously want to keep day zero away. We really wouldn't like to be part of that happening.
It's extremely scary when you have things that's freely available to you on a daily basis. You don't think, you just stow. You do the amount of laundry you do, you open the taps without thinking that this is something, reality that's going to hit you tomorrow.
I'm Ian Neilson, the Deputy Mayor. We're here to talk about the water situation in Cape Town. We believe there's still a way to go in terms of us getting our consumption down further.
Despite careful planning, the city's leaders also fear day zero, especially the looming spectre of panic and even violence.
Well, I think it would very obviously be a very, very severe situation. We understand there are risks of social unrest in those circumstances, of disputes over access to water, over people finding the time to be able to collect that water. We have to keep at it. We cannot relax at this point.
Inevitably, there's been a political stoush over the crisis, with national and city governments blaming one another for failing to build more infrastructure.
We have to diversify this water supply system. There has to be groundwater, there has to be water reuse, there has to be desalination.
There's been an expensive last-minute scramble to create more water sources, including the construction of desalination plants. Do you have any regrets about the way things have been handled?
I think we could have started sooner, but that's easy in retrospect, very easy.
A crisis can bring out the best and worst in people. On the whole, the city has rallied behind the campaign to save water in all kinds of inspiring ways. Local musicians have even recorded a 2-minute song to play in the shower. Taps off when the music stops. But there are always those who flout the restrictions. This man is committing daylight robbery. A river like this in the middle of the city wouldn't exist if people were allowed to take the water.
Thank you very much for joining us on our water operation.
That's why it's been necessary for the city to get tough.
The water enforcement issue, the restriction is a very emotional issue for many of the public. So just be sensitive in how you deal with people.
I'm Officer Maxim. I'm employed by the City of Cape Town as a law enforcement officer with the water police enforcing the city's water bylaw. Unfortunately, it's part of human nature where people will just use the water as they please. That is why there is enforcement. We're going to a car wash at the BP garage.
Car washes are permitted so long as they don't use tap water.
How's it? Good. Ons is hier om julle system te check, né? Alweer soos hy laas keer. Ek hoop nie dat is aan die municipal supply. I'm checking where he's getting his water supply from. As you can see, this is the connections over here. This pipe is the municipal supply pipe. But as you can see, it's they closed it off, so they're not operating here. But we have to investigate where are they getting the water source from. If we come this way, you can see his tanks. So they're using this water, they're using the storage tanks to store the water. And from the water storage, there's a pipe going into the high pressure machine, and then they will wash their vehicles for that.
So they're doing the right thing?
At the moment they are doing the right thing, so they are very compliant.
This car wash is using bore water now. But the first time Officer Maxime visited, he slapped them with a $300 fine. When you first started coming around and fining people, were they resistant?
They were very resistant. They are swearing at you, they are bad-mouthing you, they are calling you all these names and etc. They didn't understand the seriousness of the drought, because they will say things like, I'm paying for my water. Who are you to come give me a fine for the water I pay for?
I'd been hoping to see Officer Maxim catching people out, but it's probably a good thing for Cape Town that these days his job is a lot less confrontational.
Okay, so you have completely disconnected it.
Yeah.
Okay, as you can see, the tap is completely disconnected. So I can see there is progress.
People are doing the right thing.
People are doing the right thing. There's definitely progress.
Your job is basically to try and save the city then.
Yes, exactly. So we superheroes.
Water superheroes.
Water
of Cape
superheroes,
Town.
yeah, that's right.
That makes you feel good, yeah?
Yes, very good.
I'm Charlene Miller and I'm the owner and director of Charlie's Angels. My nickname is actually Charlie, and so hence the name Charlie's Angels. Hello, Miss Kim. Thanks for bringing your water.
Perhaps the real water heroes are the people who aren't just following the rules, they're going above and beyond in their efforts to save water.
So I'm just going to grab your water and we'll put it by the storage. Let's come through.
Charlene asks her clients to bring their own water and towels.
Ladies, how are you this morning? Very well, thank you. And you?
The salon relies mostly on donated water on Thursdays and Fridays, which have become jug and bucket days. Unless clients have come for a special treatment, Charlene also asks them to wash their hair beforehand.
Salon is completely reliant on water. We did have to kind of sit down and look at ways that we can start saving water and how we were going to put that into place. Thank you for your water, my darling. I appreciate it.
She says at first, clients weren't sure about the changes, but they got on board once they realised it was otherwise business as usual. If anything, business has increased as a result of Charlene's innovations. What are you using there to pump the water into the sprayer?
So that's actually just something that I found out on Facebook. This is what they actually use in the garden for fertilizers and insecticides. It's actually the Garden Master Power Sprayer. And you can get this at any garden sections at any supermarkets. And in fact, it's been almost sold out at every supermarket that you go to because people are showering with this now.
I heard that the Premier of Cape Province was telling people that they should have oily hair as a badge of honour or something. Have you heard about this?
I have not, but I'm rolling my eyes because I'd like to have the Premier come and tell me that. I'll explain to her why it's not a good thing at all. I'm saying, government, hello, wake up. Because it's the people on the ground that is actually having to find immediate innovative ideas to save water.
Looks like a lot of extra work.
Oh, it's tiring, eh? All visiting outside?
No one's forcing Charlene to make these changes. The water restrictions don't actually apply to businesses like this. But there's more at stake for her in this crisis than for most people.
If day zero hits, our business would close. There's just no way that we would be able to operate at all. You must always ask. I don't even want to think about it because we won't be able to feed our families, educate our families. We will not be able to pay the bills. And so the negative impact on that will just ripples into something else that I don't even really want to think about, but it's a huge possibility.
South Africa is one of the world's most unequal countries. Around a quarter of Cape Town's population live in informal settlements, but they only use 5% of the city's water. Every day is day zero here. Water and sanitation have always been huge issues in places like Khayelitsha, which is said to be the fastest growing township in South Africa. Middle-class families might complain about short showers and dying gardens, but people here have to queue for taps and toilets that don't always work.
About 50 houses will rely on the steps, even more, because all this section here doesn't have toilets, doesn't have taps inside.
What do you think when you hear people in the city talking about day zero?
Day zero is not new to people living in informal settlements. People have been carrying buckets on top of their heads, walk long distance to access water. I think it speaks to people who were living comfortably, people who had water in their houses. That's the people who experience day zero. Because if you are used to fetch water, day zero won't make any difference. Because on day zero, you'll fetch water from the same tap if it's not cut off.
If it's not cut off.
If it's not cut off, you know.
I think that day zero is coming, and I think that as middle class people we are going to have to think about life in a way that poor people have been living for a long time, which is you have to go with your bucket and you need to go to the communal tap and you need to get your water and so on, and this is how we're going to live. I think that that's how we're going to have to do
You really
things.
think it's going to happen?
Yeah. One possibility is that we leave Cape Town. One possibility is that we take our kids and put them into a school elsewhere in the country and just stay there for 6 months, because we can't actually sit around spending half the day looking for water. We can't do that. I think Cape Town is like the wake-up call for the world. The rest of the world should wake up and say, okay, this is how it's going to be, which is not just there's not enough water, but rainfall is going to be erratic. It's going to come at the wrong time. It's not going to, it's not going to water your right crops and so on. So we're in trouble. Everyone's in trouble, and I think Cape Town is a wake-up call for the whole world.
We're going to be Mad Max 1 and you guys are going to be the sequels.